Hello and welcome to Family Matters. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a brand new series where we'll be discussing different issues that affect human relations. And to help me discuss these issues, each week I'll have Liz and Mike Ngwaru. Welcome.
Thank you, Sunny.
Liz, can you tell me a bit about yourself?
Sunny, I am a relationship consultant. I'm married to Mike, and we have 3 children and a granddaughter.
Okay.
And I'm proud to be
Yeah,
one
young grandmother.
young grandmother. Yeah.
Yes.
Mike?
I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a minister of religion with the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I'm a marriage officer as well.
And the grandfather. You
and
said
a
that.
grandfather,
Isn't?
yes, yes.
Liz, what will we be looking at during these next 13 episodes?
We are going to be looking at different types of issues that families face.
Right.
We're going to look at how husbands and wives can be able to live without infidelity. We're also going to look at situations, for example, issues that pertain to families and are never discussed, like physical and mental health issues. We also are going to look at how we can make people self-reliant
Right.
and building wealth, or what we can call wealth creation. There are a lot of topics that we are going to cover, and I am sure we are going to just look into them. I want to quickly say it is because we're just going to have brief talks. We are not going to dive too deep in some of the issues because they may be workshops on their own.
Right. Today's topic specifically is very interesting. Fulfilling the needs of your spouse. What is this about, Liz?
This is about being able to identify what makes your spouse tick.
Yeah.
What is it that you have to do? And not to generalize your spouse with any other people out there, but
Yeah.
to be able to address their specific needs that makes them feel loved, feel belonging, and be able to say, if this is met, I am going to be a happily married husband or
Yeah.
wife.
You know, Mike, we're always being taught that in everything you do, whether you're eating or just buying something, ask yourself, do I need this or do I want this? What's the difference between needs and wants?
For me, a need is a deprivation that is felt by the system or by the body, something that we cannot do without. If it is not fulfilled, we go through tension because we want it fulfilled. A want is basically then how we go about fulfilling that need. I might have the need for food, not necessarily the need for rice or the need for pap, as they say it in
Right.
Southern Africa,
Yeah.
but it may be just the need for food. My body needs food. So in some cultures, rice then becomes my want
Yeah.
to fulfill that particular need.
Right.
Yes.
Liz, your take on the difference between needs and wants?
Needs are essentials of life.
Right.
Things you can't do without, or things that make you really function in a normal way of doing things
Yeah.
or life.
Yeah.
And then once you can do without them, it's like you may want to have ice cream. You don't suffer any deprivation
don't get
if you
it.
don't get an ice cream.
Yes.
But you need air to breathe.
Yes.
You can't do without air.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these are specific examples. You can just say needs and wants.
Yes.
You know, in talking about needs, since we're discussing families and human relations here, are there needs or specific? No, actually, are there needs that are just specific to marriages that a person who is single or a child won't want?
Yes.
Or won't need? I mean,
Definitely, Sunny.
yeah.
Things like sex,
Yes.
that's a need within a marriage setting.
Yes.
If everything is equal,
Yes.
if there are no health challenges that may cause you not to enjoy sexual intercourse,
Yes.
sex is a need that
Yeah.
we need to fulfill within a
marriage.
relationship. And it cannot be met by anyone else except the husband or the wife.
Yes.
Exactly.
Mike.
Yeah, procreation,
Right.
to have offsprings. The Bible would rather have that need specifically addressed by marriages.
Right.
Yes.
You
And
know-
even love.
Right.
Yeah, my father can love me, my mother can love me. But when it comes to husband and wife, that love is exclusive.
Exactly.
It is jealous. It doesn't want to be shared by anyone. So it becomes a
Yeah.
need for me to be loved in that particular way
Yeah.
by Mike.
Yes.
You can love me
But
as
it's
my niece,
different.
but it's different. It would
Yes.
the way it's supposed to
I
be
can't
fulfilled.
love you the way Mike loves you.
No.
Definitely, you can't.
You know, when I was in college, we had Psychology 101 where we discussed Maslow, Who is Abraham Maslow? I think that's one of the people who spoke about needs a lot. Can you share a bit light on who this gentleman is?
Abraham Maslow is one of the founders of the psychology.
Okay.
He is a well-renowned psychologist who centered
Yes.
his discoveries on fulfilling of needs. To him, he says if these needs are not fulfilled, people are bound not to enjoy life to the full.
Right. And yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something about Abraham Maslow.
Yeah.
You know, the founders of psychology are kind of benefiting from their experience.
Yeah.
Abraham Maslow went through a lot of deprivation as a young person. There was family fights, mom and dad, and everything like that. And they lacked a lot of things. They lacked love. They lacked this. They lacked that. And from that, he was able to deduce what you would have wanted fulfilled, and then he coined up this hierarchy of needs thing.
And that's where we're coming out to hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
What's this about? What are Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as they are called?
According to Maslow,
Yes.
hierarchy of needs are levels that he believes if the basic needs are not fulfilled, you
Right.
cannot move to the next need
Right.
and to the other need
Yes.
and to the other need. So Maslow believes there are five needs that need to be fulfilled for a person to be able to say, I have lived a full life.
Yes.
And these are the first layer, the
Basic.
first level. He calls them physiological needs or basic needs. And the second layer, he is looking at security. Then the third layer, he is looking at love and belonging. The fourth layer is looking at self-esteem. And then he finally says, if you have made all this up, you come up to the self-actualization level.
Right. You know, I feel like I'm back in class now.
Yeah.
But talking about the hierarchy of needs, I know in organizations it's almost required that you always follow hierarchy if you want things to go smoothly. And when that's disrupted, then everything just goes wrong and people fight or end up leaving jobs and so forth. Is that the same for Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Do you have to follow each one? Is it necessary? You know? I mean, obviously, psychology, people write things, but we
Yeah.
can always have our own inputs on
Yes.
that. Yeah.
I think scientifically,
Yes.
it has not been proven that
Yeah.
needs are hierarchical,
Yes.
much as these needs are very paramount to a marriage, to a family, or to human beings. But science has not quite established that they follow the order that Maslow
Yes.
does suggest. Yes.
Liz?
Actually, you want to discover that any theory, it has its people who support it and
Yeah.
it has its people who disagree. Of
course.
Yeah.
So just like the Maslow hierarchy of needs,
needs, yeah.
there are people who also challenge it, that it cannot be that systematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at times you find life fluctuates,
Yeah.
where you are maybe thinking you are reaching your self-actualization, and without you knowing, you are back. Life just changes. You are back to the basic needs where you have to be taken care of by some other people.
You relapse, as
So,
it were.
Yeah.
It's either the best nor the worst.
Yeah.
It's something that we can say it's a guideline of life that
Yes.
we need to be able to know things that are important that we need to consider in our lives.
Right, talking about that then, now let's just get into it. Basic needs. Liz, what is this about?
The basic needs, according to Maslow, are where we need to have our food,
Yes.
our shelter, our sex, and the things that make us at least manage day-to-day life experiences and life needs. And we are talking about these needs in line with a family. We are saying within a family, we will need to have food on the table. We will need to have our own home that we call a shelter, so that at least you are able to function in a way that you don't give stress or challenges to any other neighborhood, people in the neighborhood.
I think the first level sounds just about right. Those are things, it's true, they are basic needs that we all want. Mike, any further thoughts on that?
Yes. I want us to quickly underscore the fact that each particular marriage may be hard pressed to fulfill a particular need. One family may be looking at that need, and the other family may be pressed to fulfill that particular need.
Right.
At basic level, you know, there are families, maybe they are very poor. To get a meal is a miracle. And when a husband brings food home, or the wife brings food home, there is celebration in the family. Remember, we're talking about needs that make a spouse tick. So we are saying, if your family is at a bread level, bread issues are your issues, it is very important to at least make sure that every member of the family, or husband and wife and spouse,
Yes.
are able to at least help satisfy that particular need if it is a challenge.
Yeah, Liz.
For example, Seni, we are talking about needs that makes your spouse tick.
Right.
Yeah.
And on the basic needs, according to hierarchy, there is sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's a taboo in our continent sometimes
talk
to
about-
openly talk about sex.
Exactly. Yeah.
But believe you me, a marriage that is deliberately starved of sex, that relationship can also starve and end up into challenges like even divorce or leading to unfaithfulness. So it is important that as husband and wife, we deliberately fulfill one another's needs sexually. Enjoy it. I will tell you that there are times when women or men tend to be so busy
Right.
and they come home tired. When they come home tired, they have no time to romantically be there for one another, to be able to fulfill those conjugal rights.
Right.
Because even God himself has given sex to be a gift within a marriage setting.
Yes. Yes.
And we need to see it as the way God sees it and
Right.
to fulfill it
Right.
and not to deprive it as our basic need.
I mean, like you rightly said, that in our culture, especially, I mean, here in Africa, I'm thinking about from here because that's where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is kind of almost, or was a taboo to speak about sex. But like you rightly said,
Yeah.
in a marriage setting that God intended it, so it can be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Mike, any further thoughts on that?
Let me continue to add on basic needs.
Yes.
You know, there was a time when having a car was considered luxury,
Right.
and then it became a basic necessity. And then there was a time when having two cars, people say, why do you need two cars for? And then it was like, hey, these guys are pompous, they have all the money, but today it's a basic necessity.
Yeah.
I think in other cultures and in other societies, it is very important to make sure that your wife drives, you also drive. She can survive without you. She can go on errands she can go to job. She can collect kids from school without you. So some of these things, although they are not bread and butter, but they are basic to life.
Right.
And it's important to have a spouse who drives and make sure they're empowered to drive.
Lisa's
Talking of food, Sunny,
right.
I don't know if you are realizing what's happening today.
Yeah.
You wake up very late, you're all rushing out as husband and wife, and there is no proper meal being prepared within the home. And as you continue like that every day,
Mm-hmm.
this is a way of also inviting unnecessary healthy problems.
Yes.
So as husband and wife, it is important to ensure that you are eating a well-balanced diet within your family. There is enough food between the two of you. Remember, we are talking about fulfilling needs that make your spouse tick.
Yes.
Right.
If your spouse is starving, there is no way they can fulfill you even sexually. They'll be weak.
Of course.
You need to know
Yes.
that there is food that is good for your health and it has to be provided within
Yeah.
the family. Rather than you going out to be eating in the restaurants every day, sometimes it may be too expensive. You
Yes.
may not afford it.
You know, Liz, just hold that thought. I think now we must go for a break. We've got so much to talk about, but
Yes,
we'll
yes.
come back and discuss further. Please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Family Matters. If you've just joined us, we're discussing fulfilling the needs that make your spouse tick. Liz, before the break, we were talking about food and how it affects couples. Sometimes you don't eat healthy and don't think about how this affects your relationship. Can you talk further about that?
Yes, Sunny, I was saying of late we discover that people eat more out there in the restaurants. And at times you find you don't have that intimacy. You know, when you're preparing your food within your own kitchen, as husband and wife, you become so close. You enjoy doing things there together in the kitchen. You shouldn't allow it to be robbed by just going out and eating out. Take me right. I'm not saying eating out is wrong.
Right.
But we shouldn't make it like habitual where we don't cook within our own home. We are only surviving from eating outside there. It's also very expensive to do so.
Mike, just to throw the spanners in there, I mean, here, Africa, men in the kitchen, usually,
Yeah.
they stay away. Some don't even know where the cups stay, where the spoons are.
Yeah.
How can we help our men to say there's nothing wrong in going to help your spouse or your wife out? It can actually create some relationship.
Yes. I think Liz can testify to this.
Yeah.
For me, love begins in the kitchen.
Right.
It covers the whole house.
Yes.
So we are buddies. We help one another. We cook together. We eat together. If we are going out to eat out, it's fine. If we are cooking together, we are cooking together. To me, it's fun to just help.
So it doesn't make you less of a man.
It's part of intimacy. It's part
There
of
you go.
intimacy, yes.
Right.
But the traditional person feels like the kitchen is for the wife, and you rather read your newspaper while she is working in the kitchen. To me, it's quite different.
But Seni, let me quickly say, this traditional thing, when you look it closely, it looks like we make it traditional when it suits this person.
Yes.
But when it doesn't suit them, they are conventional. They do things in a different way. So I think as husband and wife, it's important to talk and see what things make you tick,
Right.
especially when it comes to things that pertain to
Yeah.
how to run your marriage as a unique couple.
Now, the next issue that I think we must look at is the issue of security. Liz?
You know, in a marriage setup,
Right.
there is nothing as important to have peace of mind, to be able to be secure, to know that my husband is my husband, my wife
Yes.
is my wife, and there's no one else coming in between. This is where I need the trust to be built by the way we interact with one another. Because once there is a third person, I no longer have that security that is my marriage going to be safe. It doesn't give me the tick that I need to. I become resentful the moment there's a third person. So it's important to make sure that we are secure in our relationship and there's no threats of someone coming from outside to distract what we have been building.
Right. Mike?
I think for married people, you need to inspire confidence
Okay.
in the manner in which you interact with people out there. It's very, very important to send a message that my marriage is still intact like she is doing. I think there could not be any better way of putting it. And also you realize with children, outside of our marriage, we have a family, we have children for those marriages that have got children. The one thing that keeps them healthy and going is not I am at school, but my mom and dad will still be there together for me. So that security is shared between husband and wife, is also shared with the whole family.
Yes. Liz?
I also want to say security can also mean having our own home where we are no longer going to be chased by a landlord because we are failing to pay rent.
Okay.
As husband and wife, we feel secure when we have our own home. And in even selecting the environment where we can buy or build our home, one of my favorite writers who wrote a book, Adventist Home, she says on page 344, if I'm very sure, that when we are selecting an environment to choose home, we must look around and see whether this environment is not going to influence our children on negative behaviors. We should be able to be sure that our religion that we believe in is not going to be tampered with because of the environment that we are saying this is the environment we are going to have our home situated in.
Yeah.
So we need that security as a family to say our home is in a safe environment that is pertaining to our beliefs, to the way we do things, and even to the way we are going to grow our children. So I like that writing in Adventist Home that gives us the way to think according to the environment where we will be secure.
Does financial security fall anywhere in this place?
A marriage without money
Yeah.
it will be challenged.
You know why I'm asking, Mike? Because I know many people say, as long as we love each other, nothing else matters. I've always been on the stance to say, I know what, I won't wake up and eat love in the morning kind of
Yeah.
situation. There must be some security
Yes.
just to know that, obviously, not to say you must be wealthy, but to know that the basic things will be taken care of. I mustn't have to stress about that. Mike.
So what I'd like to propose to the ladies out there, try to marry someone who is able to provide for the needs of the family.
Yeah.
And I know ladies should also work.
Of
They
course.
should also be breadwinners. It's contemporary. Even in the Bible, we've got Proverbs chapter 31.
Yes.
The virtuous woman also
Right.
works. Are you getting the point?
Yes.
But for a man, I don't want to be gender insensitive, but
Of
it's
course.
good that I'm also a man.
Yes, so you
A
can.
man should be able to work and to command the economy of the family.
Yes.
Actually, you go back to Genesis, where Adam was created.
Yeah.
Adam, before he was given a wife, God gave him a job
Right.
to tend and nurture the garden. The economy was to be first put in place. We need to look into that. We are not saying here, don't marry someone who doesn't have money. That's not what we are saying.
Yeah.
But have an eye that can say, this guy has the potential to work.
That
He's not
needs to
a
be there.
lazy. He's
Yeah.
not a lazy person.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that security will be disturbed when you are now having challenges health-wise, because there is no enough nutrients that you need on the table.
Yes.
So I think it's important to work hard and not to settle for little, but to aim high and be content with what we have and
Right.
aiming higher.
And I think the next one then that we must look at is love and belonging.
Could I say something
Of
just a
course.
little before we get to that?
Of course.
The issue of security is not just about divorce
Yes.
and stuff like that. So it also deals with the issue of health. We live in the days of communicable diseases or challenges like
Yes.
HIV. HIV. You don't want to go out there and then cause risks to your marriage or risks to the other spouse. So this particular need of security also addresses the issue of safety. We need to protect one another.
Yes.
Yes.
I think the important thing is, I like that you're bringing that up actually, because sometimes I think when we become reckless with our own lives,
Yes.
we don't realize you're destroying somebody else's life as
Exactly,
well.
yes.
So I think it's important to keep that in mind.
Yes.
And it's not only about HIV,
Yes.
Sunny. It's all diseases.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think in a family, we need to be secure. We need to deliberately go for medical checkups.
Yes.
I will tell you that a lot of challenges people suffer, they don't go for medical examinations early to be able to know, do I have cancer? Civic cancers, as a married woman, you
Right.
need to be
Yeah.
going for those PEP tests
Yes.
Yeah.
so that you are
Yes.
secure your health,
Yeah.
to be able to know that I have these problems. And for men, they need to go and be tested, their prostate levels, because every man, as they grow, they have a prostate that grows.
Yes.
So if you don't go for those checkups,
Yeah.
the marriage is at risk of unnecessary health disasters that can come, which you can
Exactly.
curb
Yes.
if you
Exactly.
follow healthy rules.
Right.
Yes.
Then love and belonging. What do you say about that?
Love and belonging, it's one of the most important things husbands and wives should have. I should feel that my husband loves me. I don't have to think about it. And you know what, as a woman, I don't want him to assume that I know that he loves me. I would want him to verbalize it.
You know, when you talk about that, I read somewhere a lady says, but you never tell me that you love me. Then the husband says, but I told you when I married you, because as far as it's concerned, you should
No.
just...
No, Sunny, I would want to hear it as many times as my ears can hear the ring of that word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be very, very good for me, because it makes me feel this guy hasn't grown old of me. I told you we are 32 years in marriage.
Yes.
But
Kudus.
believe you me,
Yeah.
every morning he must say it. And I verbalized it, and he
I
does
do
it.
I
Oh,
do
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
it, yeah.
Okay.
No, not only say it, I also kiss before I go to work.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
Yeah.
true.
end.
Those are some of the tiny little things.
Yes.
Remember, the Bible says, watch
Yeah.
out for the little foxes,
Yeah.
for they are the ones that finish the vineyards. So those little things, they make me as a woman tick.
Yes.
And if I don't get that, I feel like, what's happening? Who is receiving these hugs when I'm
yes.
not receiving them?
Yes, true. Mike?
Just to add to what Liz needs, I married a beautiful lady. I think
Yes, you
everybody can
did.
see.
Yes.
I have to maintain it. I have
Right.
to make sure I keep investing in her beauty. that makes you feel like, hey man, this man at least knows what my needs are. So
Oh, wow.
I would like to challenge men out there, please invest. These ladies need beauty. Please provide it. Work to make sure it happens. But coming back to me as a man,
Yeah.
I don't know how God made us.
Yes.
We did not invent it. It's not us who proposed it to God to have it. But we feel like I need my leadership role
Okay.
in the family recognized
Right.
by my wife and affirmed by my wife. I don't have to exert it. I don't have to remind them I'm the father here. The moment I say I'm the father here,
Something is wrong.
It suggests I've already lost that office.
Yes.
So I don't need to remind my children I'm the father here or my wife. But I think there is no institution without a leader.
Yes.
Even in heaven, we've got God the Father.
Yes.
Jesus respects his father, but they are all at the level of deity. They are all God, but they respect each other. They have those levels. Even in a family, it is a test of relationship for the woman not to be an underdog,
Yes.
but to realize that in life, God has instituted leadership. When my leadership is appreciated and affirmed,
Yes.
this is how I, as a man,
Yes.
feels loved.
Liz, in the interest of time, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about self-esteem.
You know, when it comes to self-esteem, as a woman, I would want to be involved in the decision-making of the family issues.
Exactly.
It makes me realize that my husband is at par with me.
Yes.
I have input I can put in the issues that pertain to this family. And it also boosts me when my husband confirms my beauty like he has just done
Yes.
publicly.
Yes.
Don't just say it secretly as
Yeah.
if I'm ashamed.
Yeah.
Right.
Openly affirm it
Yes.
and grow me like educationally,
Yeah.
professionally.
Yes.
Yes.
I need to be able to do things knowing
Yes.
that my husband is supporting me,
Right.
and it boosts my self-esteem.
Yes.
If we are running a business,
Yes.
I need to know the day-to-day activities of the business. In case he dies, I should be able to pick it up
Right.
and be able to continue the business because I have that esteem. I'm
Right.
able to do things
Yes.
because of the help he gives me.
Mike, let's talk about self-actualization.
Self-actualization, I want my marriage to reach a level where I'm no longer worried about the issues of bread and butter that I've covered, the issue of security. I know my marriage is intact. The issue of love, I know I am loved. I also love. And the issue of feeling significant, important, I know I've covered that. When I get to self-actualization, I want to give back to society. I've reached a level of full significance, of full becoming. And at that level, my marriage becomes a ministry to other marriages to say, hey, you can also love like us.
Guys, I wish we had more time to discuss this. I hope that you have learned a lot on fulfilling the needs that make your spouse tick. Until next time, God bless.